We've rented rooms at a bed and breakfast. Got the last 2 rooms. We'll meet up there once you've got some intel. You sure you don't want me to bring the team in?" Ridge stood and shoved his hands in his pockets to keep from grabbing all Roland's papers and shoving them into his briefcase. Something about the guy got on his last nerve. This was only the 2nd job he'd worked with him, and he hoped he'd manage to keep his cool instead of mussing up the dude's perfectly styled hair or his shiny shoes. In a small town like Shiloh Springs, Roland stood out as a tourist with a capital T. "Not yet. We'll keep this low-key for now. If we need him, I'll let you know. If too many people show up on Ms. White's land unannounced, she could slam a lid on her operation so tight it might take months, maybe even years, before we got another chance to bring it down." "True. You sure your family doesn't know you're undercover on a job this close to home?" "I haven't told them anything, but most of my brothers are in law enforcement in one form or another, and they're smart. They won't blow my cover. I expect you to report in every 24 hours. Got it?" Daniel's eyes narrowed, and Ridge read the older man's determined expression. "No exceptions. I don't hear from you. The op is off, and we're coming in." 24 hours. Ridge watched the 2 men, so different yet with the same end goal, walk out the front door of the coffee shop, pile into a nondescript sedan, and head back toward Shiloh Springs. Reaching into his wallet, he pulled out several bills, then added a couple more for a bigger tip. His fingers skimmed across the newspaper clipping he carried in his wallet, and he pulled it out, unfolded it, and studied the photo. Mary Margaret White. The grainy black and white photo didn't do justice to the intelligence burning in her gaze as she stared out from the picture, or the quirk of her smile, lifting one corner of her mouth the tiniest bit higher than the other. She fascinated him. From the moment he'd heard mention of the possibility of trafficking so close to his home, he'd promised himself to find out who allowed drug shipments to cross their property and put them away. And he would, even if it meant putting away Mary Margaret White. He knew his job, and he'd do it. "Look out, Ms. White. I'm coming for you."
Maggie moved the mouse with her right hand, staring at the display on her computer. Well, Sugarfoot. The blips on her screen lit up like twinkle lights on a Christmas tree. Somebody was flying drones over her property. Again. Wasn't the first time. Her eyes narrowed as she studied the monitor, noting the almost grid-like pattern of the drones. That's it. You suckers are going down. Shutting off the program, she marched to the closet by her front door and yanked it open, grabbing the shotgun and her hunting vest, the pockets already loaded with extra shells. Slamming her arms into the holes, she shrugged it on and slapped her old straw hat on her head before storming out the front door. After a quick sprint to the garage, she swung onto the seat of her Jeep, placing the shotgun on the passenger seat. She'd grown up with the Remington 870. Her daddy gave it to her when she was 12. And like any good Southern girl, she took very good care of her guns. Speeding out of the garage, she headed down the gravel path leading away from her house and further into the densely wooded area beyond. She had a pretty good idea what the drones were looking for, and she wasn't about to have her secret uncovered. Not now, and maybe not ever. It had taken a lot of hard work and money getting things exactly the way she wanted, and nobody with a fancy flying camera was undoing all her hard work. She drove a couple of miles deep into her property before she pulled over and killed the engine. Closing her eyes and leaning her head back, she listened. The air was still and hot, without a breeze. Dead quiet, with no sound. Even the birds were silent. It seemed the entire forest held its breath, waiting. Long moments passed, and still she heard nothing. Was she wrong? Could her computer program have a glitch and there really wasn't anything to see here? Ah, wait. There it was. The sound she'd been listening for.